Welcome back, everyone, once again to a new installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff,
I'm Ron.
and it's been a crazy, crazy week, Ron, because you watch not one, but two Gone in 120 seconds. That is what Ron has been filling his time with.
Yep.
There you
It was an experience.
That was a resounding yelp. Yeah. Ron did his fucking homework.
I had a feeling I only had time to either watch the original movie or do the deep dive into the wikis and stuff and look up internet videos. And I was like, if I know Jeff, he's going to already do that part. So
Yeah,
I'm going to watch the original.
I absolutely always end up doing some random Wikipedia deep dive on something, and it usually like just spirals out of control from a topic I wasn't expecting. Like I learned a lot about the director of the original Gone in 60 Seconds movie. I have never seen the original Gone in 60 Seconds movie.
I have a feeling you and I know just the same amount about him.
Yeah, it apparently has one of the like longest car chase scenes ever in a movie.
It's like half the movie.
Yeah, it was like a 40 or 45-minute car chase that destroyed like 90 cars.
It's an hour and 45-minute movie.
Probably killed a few civilians along the way. They don't know. There's a lot of wreckage in those 90 cars. You don't fucking know.
It's always a good sign when you star, write, produce, and direct the movie.
And then the craziest thing, just a quick aside before we jump into the actual Gone in 60 Seconds we're going to be talking about. Do you know what happened to the director of the original Gone in 60 Seconds, Ron?
He died in a car crash?
Close.
Was it a 67 Shelby GT 500?
Close. They're filming Gone in 60 Seconds 2. It's about 12 or 13 years, I forget which, after the original one aired. Right?
Okay.
They're filming the sequel, and the scene is going to be composed of this like water tower falling, right?
Uh-huh.
A cable snaps on the water tower, severs a telephone pole. The telephone pole drops and kills this guy.
Are you serious?
I am serious. That is the way he died. Fucking nuts.
That. Oh my god, dude, that's fucking that's the what's the name of that film franchise?
Final Destination?
Yes, that's a Final Destination death if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. Is that like he died not because of the water tower, which was supposed to it's a 160-foot tall water tower, by the way. This thing's supposed to topple to the ground, but a cable attached to it snaps. Bunch of people on the set run out of the way, but not him, because it shears off part of a telephone pole, and then that kills him. That is just crazy. Also, in that same movie, he had purchased over 400 automobiles to destroy in the film, which means that car chase would still be being filmed to this very day. It's like a 25-year straight car chase. That's a lot of fucking cars, dude.
Jesus.
That's a lot of fucking cars. Yeah. I found that fascinating. I was like, what? Because I read it, and I had to reread it like 2 or 3 times to make sure my brain wasn't just fucking with me. I was like, there's no way. Yeah. Fucking nuts. So the movie is incomplete because they only finished like 30 minutes worth of film.
In one fell swoop, I'm guessing, just guessing, they lost the director, the producer, the writer, and the star.
Yeah.
So
but apparently you can watch.
I wiped out the entire cast and crew in that one death.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
It was indeed Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, this is getting dark. Oh, this is getting dark.
Yeah. Just fucking nuts though, dude. Just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
So before we start talking about the movie itself, we were talking about was it 2000 that the Nick Cage one came out? Okay, yeah. So we're gonna be primarily talking about the Nick Cage one from 2000. Since Ron watched the original one, we'll probably do like a little bit of a comparison. I'm really curious because it has a cult following. It has a cult following.
I don't get it.
But usually when you have a movie like that, made from some independent director in like the 60s or 70s, it gets a cult following, but you're always just like baffled that it got one, just because it's how strange they usually are.
Yeah.
So just real quick, what made you decide to pick Gone in 60 Seconds for the show?
It's just been probably 15 years since I've seen it, and I like it a lot. I really love this movie, and there's another podcast I listen to every week. It does a segment called Drawn in 60 Seconds that plays heavily in its intro off of Gone in 60 Seconds.
Nice.
And so I'm thinking about this movie week after week, and it's just been a long time since I've seen it.
Is that on Ralph Report?
Yes, that's on the Ralph Report with Ralph Garman and Eddie Pence.
Just in case anyone's
that segment has nothing to do with cars. Eddie Pence is given a thing to draw. He doesn't know what he's going to be drawing until he sits down. He has 60 seconds to draw it, and then they auction it off for charity.
Gotcha.
Well, they raffle it. Well, I'm sorry, they raffle it off for. They can't call it a raffle, so they raffle it. Like if you donate any amount of money to a charity, your name goes in a fishbowl, and then they draw a name.
Nice.
So, but his stuff's pretty impressive. But yeah, it's called Drawn in 60 Seconds. So I'm thinking about this movie every fucking week.
All the time.
Yeah.
I had seen it, but it had also been probably 15 to 20 years since I last saw it.
Yeah.
It just had been a really long time. But it's funny like how much of a movie you remember when you go back to it like 20 years later. Just like, wow, I remember like I remembered that the kid was gonna get shot, and I was like, how the fuck did I remember that part 20 years later?
Well, they also telegraph it like a mile away.
Yeah. Man. The director of this had a kind of a strange career. Have you looked up his other movies?
I feel like the writer did too.
So the director of this is Dominic Sena. So he has a background primarily in music videos, and you can totally get that by watching this movie because it has a lot of just like those just kind of I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like a really glossy presentation to it that just kind of screams those like kind of late 80s 90s music videos that this guy originated from.
And it's got a really good not quite Guardians of the Galaxy level, but really good use of music, like popular music at the time in it as well. Used a good effect.
It has just like the non like actual licensed music is very, very late 90s, early 2000s, and you realize like every fucking movie from this time period has the same score that sounds like what would be happening in like the background of like a nightclub around this time, and that was like the score of every fucking movie.
Right.
But he went on to direct after this. He directed Swordfish. You ever watched Swordfish with Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry?
Yes.
Was Travolta also in that? I can't remember.
Yeah, Travolta's the main guy.
Is he the bad guy?
It's him versus Hugh Jackman, basically.
Yeah, I saw that also just a bajillion years ago, so I didn't remember it much. But he also directed Whiteout, which I think was a movie that you liked.
Yep.
With oh god, what's Underworld Girls?
Kate Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale, yeah.
Yep.
I was about to say her Underworld character name because I just associate her with the Underworld movie so much.
Season of the Witch has been on my list, but I've never seen it.
Season of the Witch as well, reuniting with Nick Cage, and that's this last thing on his resume was Season of the Witch back in 2011.
But what we really need to talk about is Janet Jackson. That's what we really need to be talking about.
That's actually what we came here to talk about. We're not talking about Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yeah, we got derailed by Janet Jackson deep dives.
So it looks like Nick Cage helped like start his career and also helped end his career, which is just really fucked up. When you look at his IMDb page,
he just gave up. He just gave up after working with Nick Cage. The writer Scott Rosenberg has an interesting list of stuff too, of stuff that he's produced and written. He wrote Con Air, another Nick Cage movie.
Okay. He
produced the Jumanji movies and the Cowboy Bebop live action series on Netflix.
Oof.
Now, hang on. I saw this last time, but I didn't do my homework on it. This Limetown TV show on Facebook Watch. Is this the podcast?
Yes.
He produced that too, apparently.
See, the problem with it, though, is Limetown was a pretty, popular podcast. It became a show. It was on Facebook. So 12 people watched it, and then it just died. So
you think a full dozen people watched it?
Yeah, I think probably a full. But there's a few like senior citizens that accidentally clicked on it and didn't know how to turn it off. So that probably contributed to like 3 or 4 of the views, and the rest of them were probably like people just like legitimately interested. Yeah, crazy.
Wait, what?
What else is he? What else has he actually written outside of?
I don't know, but I just got derailed here. On the Scott Rosenberg IMDb, take all of this with a grain of salt. Actually, take it with a whole salt shaker. Under the Did You Know section, under trivia, was arrested for a bar brawl while out with Vince Vaughn and Steve Buscemi, the latter of which was stabbed 3 times during the scuffle.
Interesting. That sounds like a much more interesting movie than some of the other stuff we've been talking about lately. Also, this guy wrote Venom. Did you know that?
Oh, that's right. That's the one I was looking for.
He wrote Venom, both of the new Jumanji. So he wasn't just a producer, but he actually like wrote the new Jumanji movies, which everyone says are actually good.
I've been wanting to see them because I'm a fan of The Rock.
I haven't seen them, but in like the trailers kind of looked bad outside of like a joke or two.
To me, the trailers looked like they were designed to look bad.
The trailers were just bad for the most part, and then everyone came back just like universally saying it was good, both of them, and I was just like, what the fuck? But then like they actually had like a decent cast for it, so I don't even know. But he also wrote Kangaroo Jack. Do you remember Kangaroo Jack, Ron?
I screened Kangaroo Jack. I built up and screened Kangaroo Jack.
I fucking forgot about Kangaroo Jack.
I wish I had.
And that kind of makes me happy. Also wrote High Fidelity, which is a movie that is pretty well looked back upon, but something I think I watched part of, but can't really remember.
His career seems to be nothing but hits and misses. Like there seems to be nothing in between.
Yeah. He's kind of collecting that fucking Venom money, though, because for whatever reason, people love watching the new Venom movies, even though they're kind of shit.
Kinda. I didn't even bother with Let There Be Carnage, did you?
I still kind of have to.
I kind of felt like we already watched it when we watched the first one.
Yeah.
How different could it be? We got one goo monster against another goo monster twice in a row.
But it's got Woody Harrelson as Carnage.
And that is perfect.
That is so bonkers and batshit that is a movie that exists that actually happened. I feel like I have to watch it, but I am in no hurry to watch it.
I wish we had him in an MCU version of Carnage.
Yeah, I still don't understand. And I really don't, and this is going to be a fucking quick tangent because I don't want to just spiral into the dumbass Spider-Man decisions they've made outside of just letting Marvel work with the characters. But so Morbius happened and y'all still want to continue down this route of just making spin-off movies, like just random ones. It's like, okay.
Did you see the new Tron movie? Is Jared Leto also?
Ugh, I hate Jared Leto.
Speaking of the Ralph Report, when Ralph said that, I don't think the words had finished coming out of his mouth yet, Eddie yelled, "How many chances does this fucker get?"
Yeah.
I was just like, thank you.
It worked out so well for the Joker and Morbius.
Jeff, I don't know if you know this, but his Joker is damaged.
He's damaged, bro.
He's damaged.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
Fuck that fucking character, dude. Oh my god. What just a colossal disaster. And then they added more scenes of him for the fucking Snyder cut, and it's just like, yeah, because that's what I needed, was more fucking scenes of damaged. That's what I needed. That's what I needed more of in my life.
Hashtag damaged.
Let's talk about God in 60 seconds. I will start fuming if I think about the Snyder cut anymore.
Nicolas Cage, bitch. Is this his...
Nicolas Cage?
Is this his second appearance on our podcast? Second or third? We got Willy's Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland. I think
it?
we've obviously talked about him outside of things that it was actually, just actually covering a movie he was starring in. But I think you're right. I think that is the only like Nick Cage starring movie.
We have to correct that pronto.
I actually will eventually have probably sometime in the near future his Color Out of Space movie, the Lovecraft one. He's really good in it, and it's a really good adaptation. It's one of the like better horror adaptations of Lovecraft stuff. I think you really dig it, so I'll have it on here eventually.
What's interesting about the year 2000 Nicolas Cage, he was still very much Nicolas Cage, but he wasn't a meme of himself yet. Like, he was still taken very seriously at this time.
Yeah. Like we talked about it at the end of the last episode when you announced this was going to be the next movie. This was in the year 2000, where like a big summer blockbuster where he's starring opposite Angelina Jolie and like her prime. Yeah, he went from being like he was basically A-list for what, like 10 years.
His name was on posters for a reason. I mean, people went to go see the latest Nicolas Cage movie, the way how after Taken, everyone went to go see the latest Liam Neeson movie.
Yeah,
like, that's just what you did.
It's kind of crazy. And then he just continuously worked nonstop and basically said yes to any project that went his way.
He was defaulting on like 4 of his castles. That he's got like 2 or 3 of them in Europe and Britain, and then he's got like some somewhere else. But he was falling behind on the mortgage on some of those, I think. Yeah,
so he had to go and steal each of the castles in one night. He had to assemble a crew.
And then did he sell his Superman issue #1 like mint condition in plastic wrap? I don't remember.
Well, the story was he had it. It was like his prized possession. Then it got stolen.
Okay, I couldn't remember if it got stolen or if he sold it.
And then it was eventually found. And I think when he was in all of his
once the insurance check cleared, it was found.
Yeah, he assembled a crew. They found the comic.
They stole the fucking Declaration of Independence.
Yeah,
followed a map.
And then
and then beat up some fucking
but
robots.
I believe because he was in such financial issue trouble that he sold the comic. So, but at least it was found, because that would suck to own that fucking comic and then it'd be stolen. There's like 10 on the planet that are in good condition, and he had one of them.
Nicolas Cage is an interesting character just as a person, dude. The guy does nothing but act and sit around reading. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a comic book, magazine, newspaper, if it's printed, he's all over it. And he has this huge collection of comic books and books and stuff. He can quote any author you want him to quote. Anytime you watch him, anytime he was on like Letterman or Leno or anything, he was always a real interesting person to watch, because I feel like he's kind of an eccentric genius, but it doesn't come through because he's a meme of himself all the time.
Yeah, it's such a weird tightrope that he walks.
Like he's weird in all the best ways that like Jeff Goldblum is weird, right?
Yeah, where they like transcend being an actor and they're just like a legend. Like him and Goldblum are legends.
They're like the harmless weird.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage. I feel like when he's allowed
he seems
to go,
like if you ran into him, he would sit and talk to you. Like that's the kind of person that Jeff Goldblum is. Like Jeff Goldblum fucking sat next to a person on a plane who didn't even realize he was there because they just buried themselves in a book. And Jeff Goldblum asked them if he could read the book to them. Like Nicolas Cage seems like that kind of person.
Yeah. Like the kind of person who's like, so we're making this Five Nights at Freddy's movie. You're going to beat the fuck out of some haunted puppets. And he's like, where do I fucking sign? Oh, you're also going to be mute and you're not going to say a fucking word. Where do I fucking sign?
But you're going to play a lot of pinball and drink a lot of
energy drinks. Yeah, so many energy drinks, bro.
My favorite story, we talked about this in the Willy Wonderlands episode, but this has to do with what we're talking about now, where he'll do basically anything you ask him to do. They were like, wouldn't it be awesome if we got Nicolas Cage for this movie? And there's no way he'll say yes, but we're going to ask because it would just be awesome to do it. And when they asked him, he said yes. They were like, I'm sorry. He said what? Nicolas Cage just showed up on set.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Probably supplied the haunted animatronics too. Like, he just had him in his warehouse. Yeah.
Well, like
it's the souls of the people who's trying to steal a Superman comic.
Right. And in front of the vault, he told Letterman one time, in front of the vault where he had the framed Superman #1, he had like 2 or 3 different cars in his living room and motorcycles sitting in his living room. He had there's like a way into his house that opens and closes that he can drive them in and out of the living room of his house.
You know what's funny is like he's obsessed with Superman, but if you were going to tell me that Batman actually existed in real life, I would bet that it was Nicolas Cage. I can see that motherfucker
right?
Just like going away for 10 years and just learning to become like a fucking assassin ninja and
Kick-Ass, right?
Yeah. He's so fucking good. I love him in that movie. That was the movie that kind of like resurrected his career to a certain extent, because he was knee deep in doing everything that was offered to him, what like no matter how bad they were. And then that was the movie where people were like, oh, he can still act, he's still cool, he's still Nick Cage, he just picks weird roles and will do everything. And then after that kind of began like the meme streak, where he's just had a really interesting career over the last 25 years.
Before we move on, just the last thing about Nicolas Cage that's awesome is in the original Ghost Rider, when Sam Elliott is sitting there with his glorious mustache, like stitching up Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
There is supposedly a tattoo that was removed digitally from Nicolas Cage's arm, because it is a Ghost Rider tattoo, and they thought that it was weird that the new Ghost Rider had a tattoo of himself.
I would have left it in.
So I would have left it in because it just fits. But he's a huge Ghost Rider geek also, and that's why he wanted to do those movies. And they had to digitally remove a tattoo instead of just choosing his other arm. How many tattoos could he have? But
right.
Yeah, Sam Elliott is sitting there stitching him up, and he has a Ghost Rider tattoo.
Also, one of his best performances of the last forever, his Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse is awesome.
Oh my god.
He's playing like the 1920s noir Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's fucking dope.
Spider-Man noir.
And I also just really, really love, I haven't seen it because I'm not a big fan of this rendition of the Teen Titans, but them letting him be Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Did they really?
It's really awesome. Yeah, he voices Superman in that movie, which almost makes me want to watch it just to get to hear him be Superman finally, because he had to have arrived on that recording booth like
his character in Con Air with the wind blowing through his lock.
Yeah, that fucker was probably smiling ear to ear for like a week after that, because that was his, if anyone's ever not seen the screen test of him in Tim Burton's Superman movie, where he actually they fitted him for the costumes and stuff, and you can see him in the, as like obviously Tim Burton Superman costumes were gonna be weird as fuck.
Right.
He looks like an alien. Not like a fucking Kryptonian. It looks like something like they'd be operated on in fucking X-Files. Those are fascinating to watch, and that whole story is also just crazy fascinating. But
I find it. By the way, what a kick-ass name Memphis Reigns is.
Although it kind of sounds like a porn star name.
I mean, either way, really. I find it funny too. We got Giovanni Ribisi in here because he's Mr. Unobtainium himself in Avatar, right? But we also have Delroy Lindo, who has Unobtainium in The Core, which we talked about. So
what are your thoughts on Angelina Jolie? Because first of all, her appearance in this movie is fucking weird. She looks like she's cosplaying as one of the murder twins from the second Matrix movie, if anyone remembers those guys. And she's got like these like blonde dreads.
Yeah.
And she just, I know like the idea was to make her look kind of like not Angelina Jolie and look like she's actually just kind of like.
Well, if a chick was going to be into cars in the 90s, she had to have her hair dyed blonde. She had to have dreadlocks. She had to wear a lot of leather and ride a crotch rocket.
But what's just so weird is like they go out of their way to like try to make her like not be sexy, but it's like that wasn't communicated to the writers, because like there's so many scenes in the movie where they're just talking about like Angelina Jolie as if she's like just like a goddess, and it's just like she looks like an alien.
She looks like she's from Battlefield Earth.
She really does. It's weird. She's also got like blue contacts, and it's like, why are we making her appearance so weird? Because no one else looks weird. Everyone else looks like they're in like a fucking like early aughts heist movie, and then you got Battlefield Jolie over there. I'm just like, she looks like more of an alien than her. She looks like more of an alien than her fucking Eternals character, which is like a fucking.
I forgot she's in the Eternals
robot thing.
I had tried so hard to forget the Eternals. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I'm not a big fan of Angelina Jolie. I never have been.
Me neither. I think she's sometimes okay.
I think she's pretty bland.
For the most part, I think she's pretty bland, and I think she's incredibly. I obviously like. She's had a pretty like long running career until the Eternals tried to kill it, of course. But yeah, I've never really understood the fascination with Angelina Jolie.
I cannot look at Scott Conn and not think Ocean's 11.
Oh, I will say though, I actually like Angelina Jolie in the Maleficent movies.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen them.
She is. I as soon as I heard her like casting for that, I was just kind of like, I don't know about that. I think Aurora reacted the same way. And then she got me to watch them, and she's actually pretty good in the Maleficent movies. I was surprised. She actually seemed to like be acting instead of just showing up on set in her Matrix 2 cosplay. Yeah. Let's see who else we got. Will Patton, someone you and I both like a lot. I like Will Patton a lot.
Will Patton is one of the few people I have clicked favorites on IMDb.
Yeah,
Will Patton
always shows up.
Amazing.
Like no matter what the movie is, he's always good in it.
And he's always one of the coolest characters. Doesn't matter what he's doing.
Yeah.
God, dude, his role in Punisher, and he is he's my favorite character in Armageddon.
Who does he play in Armageddon again? It's been so long.
He is the dude that had the gambling problem that he brings his wife divorced him, and he brings his son the space shuttle, and he said he's got something big coming up. She might actually be proud of him.
Okay, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. Interestingly, his character name in this is Atlee Jackson, which anyone that's seen the original Gone in 60 Seconds will know that name.
Oh, so they actually have recurring characters between the two?
That's a character in the original.
Because from what I saw, now obviously like you'll confirm this after we get to the cast, and you can kind of like compare them if you'd like. But I think it's typically referred to in the Wikipedia pages that this one is kind of like loosely based off the original, where like there was like the heist kind of element to it, where they were stealing X amount of cars in X amount of days. But
I don't know about all that.
Because like the reasoning of like the whole like story of the two brothers seems to have been not part of the original, and that's kind of like the whole driving force of this movie, which is weird.
I'm not really sure the original had a story, to be honest.
Gotcha.
We'll talk about it. I have a lot to report on the original. Anyone, they can suck my dick on Rotten Tomatoes, dude. It has a higher score than the one we're talking about, and it just should not be so. Thankfully, the audience score is higher, so audiences know, but the goddamn Rotten Tomatoes score is higher on the original, and it is so bad. It's one of the worst movies I have ever seen. I literally looked up to see if Mystery Science Theater ever did anything with it because it was so bad.
Okay, better or worse than House Shark?
Oh, House Shark is a much better film.
Interesting. Now you're making me want to watch Gone in 60 Seconds, the original, because like I can't imagine anything being that bad.
It's bad, dude. I'm gonna give a quick shout out to James Duvall. No one knows who he is, but I cannot look at him and not think of Independence Day, and I love Independence Day.
You know what's crazy is I actually looked on his IMDb page a few minutes ago. He is Frank from Donnie Darko, which
I've seen that movie once, so I don't remember.
Frank is the rabbit.
He plays
the fucking rabbit in Donnie Darko.
Oh shit,
that's crazy. I didn't know that was some
shit. Jeff, he's the rabbit.
Yeah.
He is Randy Quaid's son in Independence Day.
Oh, really? I forgot about that.
Yeah, in the RV.
Yeah. Another movie. Have you not put Independence Day on this podcast yet? I'm stunned by that. I don't think you have.
Well, I think one time I had the weekend before 4th of July, but we're always doing friends and family. Oh no, franchise summers. So I haven't had a chance to bring it up.
You can plug it in for that because there is the
oh god,
the new one
that
you're just dying to talk about.
No, Regurgence. No. I mentioned Scott Conn, which I cannot think of without outside of Ocean's 11. Will Patton.
Yeah, just Ocean's 11. I see him in Ocean's 11. That's all I see.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo,
so funny.
one of my favorites.
Like this movie has a lot of kind of Ocean's 11 energy to it.
Yeah,
and for him
it is
to be
a heist film.
Yeah, for him to be in both is
it's a heist film based on car chases, essentially. But yeah, I love Delroy Lindo. Timothy Olyphant's one of your favorites. He's one of mine as well.
Timothy Oliphant in this is really strange. Just to look back on like different types of characters he's played. So like here he's like straight up comedy. He's straight up comedic relief.
His lines aren't great, but his delivery of them is great.
Yeah, his delivery is really good.
I love his character. His character's just an idiot, and I love it.
Yeah, he's an idiot in this, right? And then I think of him in like Deadwood. And in Deadwood, there isn't a comedic bone in his body. He's just intensity. He's just like the hard ass that you do not want to fuck with, and he's terrifying in scenes. And I'm just like, how is the same dude capable of that? Where like he is even in Deadwood, and they have some like like motherfuckers you don't want to mess with in that show. But he plays the sheriff in Deadwood, and you just don't want to fuck with him. And then you get to Justified, and he's like a blend. Like Raylan Givens in Justified is like a blend between the two, where he has these scenes where he is being just kind of like charismatic and funny, and then the next scene he's like the fucking alpha male in the room where if you fuck with him he will shoot you and put you down and you don't want to fuck with him. So it's interesting.
Dude, I still think of like Live Free or Die Hard, where he's the villain, Hitman, and the girl next door. Oh, and the Crazies. Those are the ones all come to my mind whenever that's a remake as well, isn't it?
Yeah, the Crazies is, and the Crazies is
so
one of the few times where the remake is just like resoundingly thought of as the better of the two.
The Girl Next Door is not a good movie, but holy shit, is he a scumbag in that movie?
He's the asshole like producer, right?
Yeah, like, he basically owns her.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Yeah,
he's like you can ask him to do like basically anything though, he'll fucking do it. He can play like any character.
I liked him as 47 in that Hitman movie that nobody liked.
The movie itself wasn't the best.
It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just mediocre, but his performance in that is 47. He was really good as 47.
Yeah, I thought he was about as good at playing that character as you can, because it's just like a very very kind of one note character, and I think he added as much to it as like humanly possible. But
I loved him in Live Free or Die Hard.
Yeah, he makes a good bad guy too. I gotta get you to watch Justified, man. He's so fucking good in that show.
I don't know that I want to sit down and watch a Western.
Why do you do this to me every time? I'm gonna fucking pick Independence Day too. I'm gonna fucking pick Regurgit next week. Just stay tuned.
Don't fuck with me. I'll do it.
I also we talked about it a little bit. Delroy Lindo is arguably my favorite character in this movie. Actually,
dude,
I really like just how he's kind of got that like kind of Denzel style charisma in this, where like I was talking about kind of like with Oliphant and
I love his
Deadwood,
getting too
you don't
old
want to fuck with him.
I love this getting too old for this shit attitude that he has.
Yeah, like throughout the movie where like Oliphant's like, we were told to do this, like fuck it. He's like, yeah.
Also, one of the best police names I've ever heard in my life is Detective Roland Castlebeck.
Yeah, that could have been the name of that could have been the name of like the lead of like a cop show in the 80s.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dude, Christopher Eccleston
as the Carpenter.
The Carpenter.
Yeah.
I guess is this him trying to break into the American market at this time? This is the year 2000. This is 5 years before Doctor Who.
Yeah, this was probably one of the first roles he had in a like AAA Hollywood movie in America.
Same thing for Vinnie Jones, I bet.
I think Vinnie Jones, I mean, it kind of depends on if you consider Guy Ritchie movies to be like they're kind of Americanized, but he had been in basically every single Guy Ritchie movie before this.
I still feel like he was largely unknown over here. And Sphinx is a character to remember.
Yeah, he's hilarious in this. Like when he just sets the half-eaten sandwich on the corpse, because he is really funny.
So like he's a presence on screen every time he's on screen. But the thing that
he's the Juggernaut, bitch.
Right? The thing that I fucking love is literally Nicolas Cage getting the shit beat out of him. And he takes a baseball bat to the window of the car he's about to blow up just to get their attention so they can watch him light it on fire. And then the music that kicks in as he's walking away from the explosion and just starts beating the shit out of everyone.
It's pretty badass.
There's that guy. Doesn't he like grab the shotgun from him and then headbutt him into the ground? Like
what? Yeah, one of them too. It's really badass. One of them, he lets punch him because he knows he's gonna be fucked up more by having punched him than he will be receiving the punch. It's really really good.
It's so good.
Also, a character actor that people will definitely recognize from something is Shy McBride, who apparently for 25 years people have been mispronouncing his name as Chi McBride because when you see CHI,
right,
you automatically assume Chi. It was kind of funny. I was just browsing through his IMDb trying to figure out other stuff I had like recognized him from. And I stumbled upon an article where he was just like, "Yeah, I just stopped correcting people. He just kind of rolls with it now."
That's his stage name.
Yeah, and as a Jeffrey with a Geoff spelling, I totally get it. People fuck up my name constantly. I just go with it. It's like fucking multiple choice. Whatever you come up with, it's fine. I stopped caring a long time ago.
Whatever you say, Geoff.
Yep.
Dude, Robert Duvall.
Yeah, Robert Duvall is really good in here. Unfortunately, was it Robert Duvall that has like come out to be like really really pro Trump over the last several years and just kind of like ruined his reputation?
I don't know about that.
I feel like it might have been Robert Duvall, and if it is, that makes me sad because he's a really great actor and it's always
he's great in everything that he's in. Yeah. I don't know about his personal life or political affiliations. I know it's definitely not De Niro you're thinking of. But yeah, because Robert Duvall, I went back and looked at the cast of the original to see if there was an Otto Hollowell, but I couldn't find one. I didn't. I felt like you would give Robert Duvall a callback name like they did with Will Patton, but they didn't apparently.
Gotcha.
And then the last one I wanted to mention is Michael Pena as Ignacio.
This is the origin story of Luis.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the exact thought that I had. Yes. When he shows up. I saw that on IMDb before I watched it, and I was like, where the fuck is Michael Pena in this movie? And then as soon as he pulled up, I was like, oh my God.
Oh no, it is okay. Thankfully, it's not Robert Duvall. It is John Voight that was the one.
Oh yeah,
like
I could have told you that.
Yeah, very pro Trump. I was getting it mixed up.
Yeah, John Voight, Angelina Jolie's father, if I recall correctly.
It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
See, now I just imagine John Voight with those Matrix 2 twin fucking dreadlocks.
That's
and now I want to see that.
That's probably how he got in Transformers with Michael Bay. Because my God.
Oh shit, was he in that movie? I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's the Secretary of Defense.
Oh God, you're right.
Yeah.
What a weird point in time those Transformers movies, man.
Oh Jesus, 2007 was weird. It was a weird time.
Yeah, it really was. He says as if every time isn't a weird time nowadays. Yeah, but
why don't you go on downstairs and get me a ding dong?
Any other point of the cast? That
I think we've covered everyone. I kind of went out of order from the IMDb, but
yeah, fuck it.
I think we got them all.
Yeah, let's. So just really, really bizarre grouping of actors and directing and screenplay, but it all kind of works.
I feel like it all gels because the difference in the cast and how weird the cast is. It's kind of intentional, right? You've got the new crew versus the old crew coming back into it. Yeah. So the way that they kind of conflict and everything makes sense. The old crew sometimes gelling and not gelling makes sense because they've been apart for so long and they're not part of this life anymore. Mm-hmm. And no one really wants to be there. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And once again, Will Patton is the coolest fucking character in the movie. He may not be your favorite, but he's definitely the fucking slick backed hair and the leather jacket and the way he talks.
He's always just the coolest guy in the room in every fucking movie.
I know. I fucking love it. And then I don't know if it was his decision or they just decided to do it, but he's got that fucking limp when he walks. I don't know why he has a limp. I assume car crash for stealing a car. But
it's always cool when a movie will let a character have like a quirk like that and then not elaborate on it.
Yeah.
Because it makes them feel more like a real person. Because if you have like a quirk or like an injury like that amongst the people,
and everyone just accepts it.
Everyone just accepts it because they all know each other. It wouldn't be a point of conversation because it probably happened a long time ago and they already know about it. So it's like good writing to just kind of like let there be stuff that goes unsaid, I think. But yeah, let's so
it adds
the basic
depth to a character.
yeah, exactly. So the basic storyline for this, again, full spoilers for Gone in 60 Seconds.
23 years too soon.
Yeah. So the basic plot of this is Giovanni Ribisi, who is Nick Cage's little brother, has agreed to boost a certain amount of cars under a deadline. Yeah.
It never rains, but it pours.
Yep. So he has agreed to boost a certain amount of cars before a deadline happens for Christopher Eccleston, who is like kind of like a fencing mob boss type character in this. He's called the Carpenter because he's just a real nerd for making coffins, as you do.
Yeah, he's kind of the go-between. The both movies, the original and this one, they're stealing for a South American drug lord that is unnamed and not in the movie. Atlee Jackson is, I believe, the one going directly and stealing the cars directly for him, whereas in this we have the go-between, which is the Carpenter, played by Christopher Eccleston. And I kind of like his over-the-top weirdness, quirkiness, because he's supposed to be this just utterly the movie acknowledges that he's insane and completely eccentric, because like Will Patton's like, I gotta be honest, man, he scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, like that, just that kind of like sense of unpredictability.
Yeah, he's just a force in the movie, and he's between a rock and a hard place because he's the asshole that said he can deliver 50 cars and he has no cars.
Yep.
And it's a South American drug lord, which I'm sure that's going to go great when he tells him he doesn't have the cars.
And he's also just like worried about his reputation, where it's like in that business, your reputation is everything. If people know they can, deal with you and you're not going to, deliver, then you no longer have a career instead,
right,
bullshit you're into. Dude, so he ends up failing the heist. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The wrinkle that they put into it, I love it. It doesn't ever play out the way you think it will, but just because they're such good friends in the movie. But I love when he's explaining to Nicolas Cage the shit his brother is in with this character, and then he just goes, "And you should know, I work for him." And it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you don't know how that's going to play out later, and he chooses his friend, not his boss, because he's scared shitless of his boss. But I mean, it kind of leaves, they just kind of dangle it in front of you, like, is this going to be a problem?
So here's the question. Okay. So just to finish the basic plot line. So Giovanni Ribisi fails to boost all these cars for him, and then they bring in Nick Cage, who has agreed to basically boost the 50 cars they need in like 4 days under the deadline in order to pretty much keep his little brother from being executed.
Yes.
This movie also gave me a permanent fear of car compactors, dude. Because like when Nick Cage first shows up and they start to just crush that car while he's still in it, it's just like a terrifying thought. And that is one scene that also stuck with me all these years. Is just like that idea of being stuck in a car in that situation is terrifying. I think, as someone who suffers from like claustrophobia, right, just fuck that dude.
And I think one reason why that sticks in your brain so good is how nonchalantly the movie plays it off. Because they show it, the compactor start, and then it cuts to Nicolas Cage and Christopher Eccleston having a conversation, and you can just hear it in the background. They're not even showing it to you.
Yeah.
You can just hear it happening, and they're literally yelling over the car being crushed at each other.
That scene has really great editing. The way it like ratchets up the tension, because like they'll cut back and forth, right? You'll see like a part of the car collapse every like 15 seconds as they intercut dialogue between Nick Cage and Eccleston. And like you're already, on edge from the car being crushed with Giovanni Ribisi still in it, while you're being they're cutting between like a really, really intense conversation where Nick Cage pulls a gun on Eccleston. And it's just a really great scene. Probably one of the best scenes in the movie, I'd say, is that moment.
Yeah, right, I'd agree, just because of the way it plays out, and like whether he pulls the gun or not, I mean, he's fucked. He has to do this thing. There's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
He's completely powerless. And I don't know, it's not often you see the hero of a movie be completely powerless I mean, he's got no bargaining chip, no plan, nothing.
Yeah, like he says, like you kill me, they kill you, and your brother dies anyway. So what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Like you think you got the upper hand for a second, but
and then
nope.
The second option was say he'll do it, lie, take his brother and run. They'll track him down and kill him anyway.
And their mom.
So
throws their mom into the situation.
And he's like, or you steal some cars, you make some money, you walk in, you be a good, what did you say? You be a big brother? Something like that. So he puts the gun down.
So are the two brothers in the original at all? Because you said Allie Jackson, Will Patton's characters in the original. Are any of the other characters actually in?
There's no Rains. There's no Memphis, no Kit.
Interesting. So it's just car heist for no reason.
Yep.
So that's always like a good plot, to not have one.
Right? Yeah. It's man, that original movie is one of the strangest movies I've ever seen.
Give me like a 2 or 3 minute, just like quick review, because I'm curious about this.
It bad. That's my whole review.
All right. There you go.
It does this thing. It's a real amateur, I don't know how to make a movie thing, where it's not a montage. It's not a montage. It's just people doing a thing and ADR voiceover. So at the beginning of the movie, they're explaining how a chop shop works. And there's these 3 guys tearing apart a car. And the editing is cutting between these 3 guys like they're talking, but they're not looking up. Their mouths aren't moving, but there's this voiceover happening between these characters. And you don't know the way it's cutting back and forth, but the dialogue isn't cutting. You don't know who is saying what to who. And the way the audio is mixed, most of the time you don't even know what they're saying. Then they do it again later when they're explaining the stealing of the 50 cars.
I almost wonder if that was all just decided in post.
It feels
they were like we filmed a bunch of these scenes. We tried to edit them together. None of it makes any goddamn sense. So here's just some like documentary style voiceover of just random shit to try to like make it, like merge together.
It feels like the dialogue was written after the movie was filmed.
Always a good sign.
There is a scene where the inside guy is an insurance guy. They're stealing cars that are insured and only cars that are insured. And his boss and him are having an argument because the main guy is an insurance investigator. And at first, I thought it was my stream because I'm streaming this off of a server that off of a service that I can't imagine has a lot of horsepower, because I use my library card to get it off of Hoopla. Okay. And it was playing great, but all of a sudden this guy's mouth is not syncing with the words he's saying. But the other guy in the scene is, and they're on camera at the same time.
That's so awkward, dude.
So they have re-recorded his lines.
So they matched half of it, but just was like, the rest of it's fine.
They re-recorded this one guy's lines and just left it, and they didn't do anything to hide it in editing or anything.
What did the original have on Rotten Tomatoes? I know you say it had a higher one than the Nick Cage one.
Yeah, the original is a 43% on the tomato meter.
That's crazy. When you don't even have fucking matched audio.
Dude, you don't even know. The incompetence of the police in that movie is staggering. There will be scenes in that 1.5 hour long car chase
that's still ongoing to this very day.
Right? It's like a 4 or 5 lane road with one obstacle on the side of the road, and every police car will hit that thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You doing okay? Because you just went through a wall.
Right? And like, that movie is absurd. It is laughably bad.
That is wild to me that it got a cult following, unless people just like it because it's like kind of haphazardly slapped together. Because some people are nerds for that shit. It's like some people will only watch movies they know are bad.
But there's some holdovers. Like, for instance, the chop shop is run out of a metal salvage place where they crush cars and stuff. There is, the 3 Mercedes laser cut keys.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a Mercedes, but there's a particular car in the movie. It's kind of genius what they do, and it makes me wonder if you could do this with any car. The way they have to steal them is, the ignition in the steering column where you stick the key in and turn?
Yeah.
They get down, they sit in the car, and they cut all the wires from that. They pull another one out of their pocket that has a key already in it and wire it up and just turn that key in their hand.
Huh.
And then start it and drive off. And I'm like, well, there's the 3 laser cut key reference then for the Mercedes in this movie.
Yeah.
That they go on and on about. That's a direct callback to the original. He jumps some cars in Eleanor, like at the end of this movie. And it is laughable the way they filmed it. So when he hits the top of the crest in the jump in midair, it freeze frames and just holds it there. It just holds it there and lets you admire it. You can see the ramp in the background that they're trying to hide between the cars, but it's just freeze framed there. Then, while it's freeze framed there, they superimpose 4 different angles of it in slow motion. This was the big stunt of the movie, apparently.
Lol.
And this is about a 5-minute scene in the movie. Is just this freeze-framed car with all these different angles showing it again and again and again and again before finally they let the poor car hit the ground. Like, it felt like Loki. He's like, I've been falling for 30 minutes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I swear to God, I'm going to look it up later and report back, because I swear to Christ, in the Mystery Science Theater version of Werewolf, there is a car chase where these 2 cars go down a road and turn right at a gas station. And the reason this sticks out in my mind is because they play that same footage over and over and over again in the movie. So every time we come back to the gas station and turn right, one of them's like, oh, back at the gas station, or make a right turn, and then the car will make the right turn. Like, they comment on it all the time. I swear to Christ, it's the same gas station, same 2 streets in this movie. The only reason I know that is because I remember it from Werewolf.
Yeah. Oh man, that's actually really funny. So it gets a 9 out of 10 for you. Go watch it and see just how you feel about it, like ASAP. Is that what you're saying?
It gets 9 out of 10. Go fuck yourselves.
Oh.
On the fuck off meter.
Okay.
It's bad.
The worse you say it is, the more intrigued I am.
I would be willing to live stream a commentary of it because it was awful.
Yeah, because so here's the thing.
And it is racist beyond all get out. There's a lot of white folks in suits telling a lot of black folks in coveralls what to do.
Yikes, dude.
I mean, the Asian driver in this one's not much better. But
yeah, we'll talk about that. There's some stuff that is very, very year 2000 unwoke in this that at the time
we hadn't got there yet.
Yeah, at the time nobody noticed because it was just. I'm not saying it was right. It was just the way the culture was.
And then we doubled down on it. We doubled down on it at the DMV.
Oh, but with 2023 eyes, you're just like, oof.
Yeah,
that didn't age well. The black guy talking about watching Roots. And it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure this was written by white guys.
Although
I am uncomfortable.
The stereotype of the loudmouth black guy that will never shut up being placed with Sphinx was genius.
It's pretty funny. The scene in the Humvee.
There's a snake crawling up my ass.
Why did it have to be snakes,
dude? Another thing that I could not stop laughing at is homeboy got snake on the license plate. Well, snake's gonna have to slither his ass all the way to the bus stop in the morning.
Yeah, there's some dialogue that doesn't really work in this, but they have some genuinely good dialogue in this. It's not it's not like Ocean's 11 caliber where it's like the whole thing is just like, sleek as fuck and everything works, but it's got some decent one-liners for a heist movie, I'd say. For of this time period.
But yeah, Sphinx playing off of what's his face? I don't even know the character's name.
I have a really hard time following.
Is that Mirror Man? Who the fuck is Mirror Man?
I don't know. I can't follow anyone's names in this outside of the Raines brothers and Sway, which I just now realized Sway is from combining the first letter of her first name and the first portion of her last name of Sarah Wayland is Sway. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I don't think they even go into it.
They just don't, Which is another thing like we talked about, like they wouldn't go into it because that's just her nickname.
That's her criminal name.
They wouldn't like grind the movie to a halt, be like, "Hey, audience, this is what this means." They just know each other, so it would just be a thing.
I'm sorry, I've been going back to the MCU with my kids, so all I can think now was Sarah Sway Wayland, this Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's like, he's got a code name. And he's like, come on, man. It's an outlaw name. That's all I could think about was Sarah Sway Wayland. Yeah, she got a code name.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's also just like really, really funny. So looking back at this movie in retrospect, right? So this got like just like kind of critically eviscerated, and
which I don't get. This movie kind of fits in with the times.
Yeah, so like the first Fast and the Furious isn't a masterpiece by any means, and also suffers from a lot of the exact same problems that Gone in 60 Seconds did.
Funny how that works out.
Yet Fast and the Furious gets 27 sequels that are still happening to this very day. And what's really funny is when you look back on it, Gone in 60 Seconds is what all of the Fast and the Furious sequels eventually turned into. Which is like getting like the ragtag group of people together, do some fucking heist. It makes no sense. But it actually like made sense for Gone in 60 Seconds. Like they actually had like a reason to be doing the thing they're doing.
Yeah.
But it's like people kind of like shat on this, even though they actually have some like pretty good like character motivations. Like some of the dialogue is kind of whack, but it has some.
You know what I appreciate about it? Everything that Delroy Lindo and Timothy Oliphant are doing makes sense.
Yeah, and they're actually like how rare was it to see actually like competent police work in the heist movie? That never happened because they were just the idiots. They were the people going out of their way to like crash into the thing on the side of the road that you were talking about in the original one. And that was happening even into the early aughts and like 90s. And this is, kind of like, it's kind of cool in the way that Delroy Lindo and Oliphant is kind of an idiot, like for comedic relief.
He's a good cop.
They're doing good police work.
Yeah. The thing is, in these types of movies, especially the ones that lean more to the schlocky side, cops just tend to show up at the most inconvenient time for the main character. It makes sense why the cops are there, and we cut to them doing their detective work, following the clues that lead them to these places and to do the things they're doing. Like,
yeah, if it wasn't for Nick Cage just being observant, you know, like they would have busted them a couple times.
Like I'm not saying that like the script is airtight or whatever, but it makes sense. The things that are happening in the movie make sense, even if it's not like the most competent. It makes sense.
It makes sense, and it has cohesion between like, it's not just
the way the characters come to a head at the end of the movie makes sense. Everyone has their reasons for being there. Yeah.
Like to me, like I think it said like a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that's a little crazy. I would say it probably deserves somewhere like I like the 50s and maybe like low 60s of like. It's not.
I live in the 20 to 30% range on Rotten Tomatoes.
Like it's funny. You have like a running trend of movies that like the critics all hated. They're like an action movie that you sit down on a Sunday afternoon and watch with your dad. And just take like a running kind of theme.
When it comes to movies, there's two things my dad says. If the critics hate it, he says it'll be his favorite movie. The other thing he says, anytime he sees something is rated R, and the thing comes up and says rated R, he'll go, really good. So, like, and that's what I grew up with. If the critics hate it, it's my favorite movie. If it's rated R, it stands for really good.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. Is like I know obviously I I'm probably more like analytical of movies than you are, but I am by no means some of the assholes that actually like run Rotten Tomatoes as far as they don't
No,
fucking
you and I
like
wouldn't
anything.
be friends.
They don't fucking like anything unless it's like intentionally meant to be like an Oscar nomination, like Oscar bait type
Yeah.
stuff.
No, yeah, you and I wouldn't be friends if you were that type of critic.
But I fall kind of in between, just wanting to watch like movies that are fun versus like critiquing them.
There's nothing wrong with a movie just being fun.
But my family likes everything and will find a thing to like in everything, which is so weird for like the way I turned out. I was like, I will like critique it. So like when I was growing up and I was like a teenager and I would be talking movies with my dad would be like, you're kind of sounding like a critic, like why would you go to everybody? Like basically like my dad's like thing was like, I paid to go to the theater.
I'm gonna find a fucking reason to like it.
To watch the movie, I'm gonna find a reason to like it. And it's like I kind of get that, but also it's like this thing's kind of dumb. This thing doesn't work. And it's just like it's kind of like a weird disconnect. Even though like I love movies because my family loves movies, I just love them in a very different way.
Right.
It's kind of interesting how like the way your parents will like engage with a piece of media that can influence the way you react to it one way or the other.
Yeah, but at the same time, my dad's favorite movie is Avatar. So
yeah, so I can no longer be friends with your dad.
Yeah, I don't think I can either.
We gotta walk our separate ways. He's just gonna be
Father's
chasing
Day
down.
has never been the same for me.
You gonna give him some unobtainium for Father's Day next year?
You can talk to Delroy Lindo about that unobtainium. I just want you to know, Jeff, at some point, I am having the core on this program. I like that movie.
I don't remember it at all. So
I like that movie. Everyone says that it's like the worst movie ever. No, the original Gone in 60 Seconds is the worst movie ever.
Was there a single movie released between the years 1997 and 2001 that isn't a 25% Rotten Tomatoes? I feel like every fucking movie we talk about that's from that time period has a low rating. Like they fucking hated everything.
They hated everything from the 90s.
They fucking hated like if it wasn't like the new like Tarantino movie or it wasn't like Saving Private Ryan, like they fucking hated everything.
Like we've talked about how the 90s and the aughts are kind of a weird transitory time for movies in Hollywood and stuff, but that doesn't make them bad.
Yeah,
they're not just bad by default because they were made in the 90s. Yeah, it's strange. It's real strange.
Like the bar to clear to have a movie actually be like critically received well was just insane. Yeah, really strange time in movie history, I'd say.
Yeah, it's weird the way the critics responded to things. Meanwhile, you had Siskel and Ebert just giving everything 2 thumbs up, didn't matter what it was.
For instance, now it's not 90s, but I consider it the same time period, right? The like the 90s and early aughts of like the critics hating everything. Ocean's 11 has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. If Ocean's 11 came out today, Ocean's 11 would have like a 95%.
That's still pretty good though.
For the time period, that's basically 100%.
Right.
That's what I'm saying though. It's like they were going out of their way to like neg everything, and I don't understand like why they were just destroyed. It's also just kind of like a different, maybe like a different group of people that are actually populating older Rotten Tomatoes stuff. Because it's not gonna have as many reviews as like a current thing. I don't know how they go about people. Maybe the people that are going out of their way to do these older reviews are coming up with some like blurb that is overly hateful in order to get more views and kind of like boost their kind of like reviewing career. I don't know how that works, but it kind of makes sense. It's like
the internet did come around then. They had to get them clicks.
Yeah. And also some of these are like in retrospect because Rotten Tomatoes wasn't the thing, like until within the last probably 15 years.
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's the wrong generation looking back on these films. Because I think if you're watching a movie like Gone in 60 Seconds is 23 years old, I think you and I are looking at it 2 different ways at the same time. Because we were alive then. We remember what it was like in the 90s and in the aughts. But someone watching it for the first time in 2023, I think it's a terrible, horribly racist movie.
So it wasn't woke by 2023 standards it was from the year 2000, therefore it's automatically bad. Next. Right. That's just like a bad mentality to have, because you have to kind of like, no, I'm not saying you have to, you don't have to forgive it, but you have to understand that it was just the way things were, which is fucked up.
Not saying it's a good thing. Just saying that's the way it was.
That's the way that it was.
Honestly,
it's like,
by comparison, this movie's not as bad as some of the others you could pick from the 90s or 2000s.
Oh, no, there's some other stuff just because, like, we've talked about some of those, in this podcast.
Yeah.
Of stuff that you look back, it's like, ooh, that's rough. And this is, that has a couple of scenes that are like, the fucking lady trying to pass the driver's test is really bad. That's it's kind of queasy to watch in retrospect.
It's bad enough that it's a woman, but an Asian woman.
Yeah, it's rough.
And we doubled down at the DMV.
But you didn't bat an eye back then because they just kind of had everything on the menu,
Yeah.
Like
that was just the joke at the time.
It's kind of like funny. It's like what became, like this is around the time like South Park comedy was, like the kind of like thing to do where it's like you just fucking offend everybody. And if you're offending everybody, you're offending nobody. Like everyone's on the menu,
right?
And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a fucked up way to look at it, but that's the fucking way they made movies.
Pretty much,
yeah. But what are so we've talked a lot about just kind of like stuff in general. So what are some like sequences that were like kind of stand out to you from this movie that you wanted to like touch on?
It's funny thinking about this movie as a heist film because it really follows the heist film formula, right? Like we have our setup, we have to put together the crew, we stake out, we do our homework, and then we'd pull off the heist. 50 cars in one night so that you're finished and you're gone, you're out of town before the first car is reported stolen. That's the other thing. I've been sitting here trying to remember what the other thing they took from the original movie is. The car, the Cadillac, full of drugs.
Oh, okay.
That's in the original movie. That whole scene is from the original movie. The whole scene is? Uh-huh. The cop getting in the car and blowing the heroin away and everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty good scene. I see why they kept that in because it's a pretty good scene.
Yeah, that whole scene is in there. What were you going to do with that? I was going to bonk him. You were going to bonk him. No one bonks anyone.
You have all lost decision-making privileges for the next 24 hours.
I was going to bonk him. I just love how childlike Scott Conn sounds. I was just going to bonk him. Yeah. I like the characters, right? It's got a really good set of characters, but between Memphis and Donnie and Sphinx, Castlebeck, it's just got some really great characters. I love the eccentricities of Eccleston.
This movie absolutely had to have been influenced by Guy Ritchie movies at the time, like Snatch.
Had to have been
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. Because that not only like
which may be why they went out and got Vinnie Jones for Sphinx.
Exactly. Yeah, they probably went out and got him because they were big fans of him in those and big fans of those movies in general because it has a lot of the same kind of like character quirks. The villain is very Guy Ritchie villain-esque. So yeah, there's a lot of like Snatch and Lock, Stock DNA in this movie where I totally get that.
I like the push and pull and the back and forth between Castlebeck and Memphis. Because Memphis has his unicorn, which is Eleanor. But for Castlebeck, that's Memphis.
Yeah.
Right? So they when they run into each other outside of the diner, when Castlebeck's waiting for him and that conversation, and without without defeat you can't appreciate victory or something like that is what Memphis says to him.
Yeah, or without failure, you can't learn to appreciate successes or something like that.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's a really good line that he says to Castlebeck when Castlebeck is telling him to his face. He laments the fact that he could never catch him. Right.
Yeah, he's like the one staying on his otherwise like pretty epic career for police officer. Yeah.
Don't ever talk about my wife. Oh, she's mean. What? I'm just saying she can be mean.
Sometimes she can be mean.
But yeah, I really like that aspect, and I really like how that story comes to an end. it comes to a climax at the end of the movie where he saves Castlebeck's life, and he has a great line where he's just like, well, here I am smack dab in the middle of a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
He's just like, just staring at him like, you have to be fucking kidding me. He's just like, you saved my life, didn't you? And he's like, well, now what? It's your call, detective. Because he does have him. Because once again, 3 times, Memphis gets caught in this movie, right? So, first time with Kip being crushed in the car. That's number 1. Second time, he does not know that he has taken his brother's place on the chopping block, and he drives right up to Eccleston. He just walks right into the place, not knowing him and his brother have switched places. So that's 2. And then he gets caught by the detective finally. The detective knows everything. Now everything's out in the open. And the detective just can't bring himself to do it because 1, Eccleston's a bigger catch. And 2, he saved Castlebeck's life. So he just tells him to, get out of here. And he had a chance to get Castlebeck because Castlebeck turns around and Nicolas Cage is just standing there staring at the gun.
Yep.
He could have been picking up the gun this whole time, and he didn't. Because for him, it's about the cars. It's not about anything else. It's not even about survival. It was just about the cars. So I think even if you think this movie is just a schlocky action heist, weird hybrid movie of just guns and car chases and / heist, I think it has a lot of really strong, good bones to it. It falls back hard on a lot of really good characters. And while I like the plot, and I think the different plots between the characters are good, I could see where people wouldn't, but the way they come to a head, the way they tie together, the way everything wraps up at the end of the movie, I think is all really well done. And I've just always really loved this movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I definitely don't like
this
it. This
cast is insane. In 2000, we didn't know half these people, but this cast is insane.
Yeah, the cast is really good. But what I was gonna say is like when I see it get like just lambasted so bad, like 25% is something that is the score for something that should be offensive, like just offensively bad.
Right.
And this is not offensively bad. It's fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just want to sit down and watch like a fucking heist movie. Doesn't have to be. Like as a comparison point, the first Ant-Man movie is basically a heist movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not going to be as epic as Endgame because it was never going to be as epic as Endgame. It's okay for this thing to just be what it is.
And like we've said many times, and I said earlier, it's okay for a movie to just be fun. It doesn't have to be Oscar bait. Like it's okay for a movie to just have the goal of being fun. Excuse the pun, but it's a high octane, fun movie. All the shit with Eleanor, dude. Everything to do with Eleanor is great.
Dude, it fucking hurts my soul to watch it get fucked up.
I know.
It reminds me of like watching the beginning of John Wick 2 where the Mustang gets fucked up, and it just makes my soul cringe watching it get fucked up.
I asked for 50 cars, not 49 and a half.
Don't start at me. No, start.
At the end, when to your point also about just letting the character kind of sit, not explaining things. Did you notice Kip at the end of the movie versus Kip through the rest of the movie? He's shaven. He's clean shaven. His hair's not greasy. It's all combed back. It's nice. His clothes aren't ragged and tattered. They're nice clothes. Yeah. He's gone straight. Just by looking at him, you can tell he's not in that lifestyle anymore. And
I also really like this. When he cooks the breakfast for him.
Yeah.
And after like Nick Cage like coughs and spits it out, he's like, "It's good."
Right. And that scene, I'm glad you mentioned that. That scene is such a great scene for just what we say all the time about, wait for it, Dark Souls, environmental storytelling 101. Look at Kip's house. Not necessarily how like nice versus not nice it is, but how dirty and grungy it is. It's unkempt. It's just as bad looking as he is. And he doesn't have it together. He's a mess trying to cook his brother a meal. the grease fire starts and he doesn't know how to handle it, and Memphis just walks up, douses some baking soda on it, gives him a look, and walks away. Like, he doesn't have any of his shit together, and you know everything you need to know about Kip through this one scene with his brother, and you know everything you need to know about Memphis from that same scene.
Yeah.
It's so good. The way that scene is written is so good.
And it presents like a lot of like the dilemmas that Kip's going through of not feeling like he can do anything without his brother's help. Like he didn't know how to set up, he didn't know how to put out the fire, you know?
And I love that there's this really obvious plot point that late in the movie itself acknowledges that Kip is an idiot, right? Because it's kind of played like no one's talking about it because nobody knows this, but the audience figures it out immediately. And then later the movie acknowledges, no, Kip is the only one that doesn't know this. Why Memphis left, right? It was so that Kip wouldn't end up being like him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of played out like no one in the movie talks about it. Nobody in the movie understands why Memphis left or whatever. No, it's the opposite. Kip is an idiot. Everyone around him, the audience and the fellow characters, all know it. And Atlee is eventually just like, are you that dumb to not know why he left?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's got a lot of really good, like I said, the characters are really strong. Any of the scenes with just the characters, not even any cars. But the fact that at the end, too, that Kip, you can tell he's cleaned up. You can tell he's gone straight just by looking at him. And he pawns off his chopper. He pawns off his motorcycle to buy Eleanor for Memphis. Legit owned. He doesn't have to boost her. Doesn't have to steal her. He gets to rebuild her the way he wants.
So here's my question too. Was it another 67 Shelby GT or whatever? Or so it's not the exact same one. Okay, that's what I was curious, because the first one got like fucked up, but it looked to be different because the first one got like crunched with the claw, like
I was waiting to hear you talk about that because I figured that was something you would mention specifically because the parallel happening in that scene with what's about to happen to Memphis is happening to Eleanor.
Mm-hmm.
There are two characters in that scene that are about to die. One of them does. Eleanor gets it. And Atlee shows up just before Memphis gets it. Also, no elaborate deaths. They took Memphis out, they immediately pull a gun and say head or chest. Like, they're just going to straight up shoot him. There's no sharks with laser beams on their head.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Yeah, there's no bullshit.
How much do you see that in a movie?
Yeah.
The villain doesn't have any elaborate deaths. They're just taking him out and shooting him, and Atlee shows up, and they're just like, what are you doing, Atlee? But yeah, the parallel with him walking through the salvage yard as Eleanor is also being dragged through the salvage yard by the claw. He's up there on top of the thing watching Eleanor get crushed as he's being pushed down to the ground, crushed down to the ground, if you will. And as Eleanor is literally dying, they're pulling out a gun and asking him head or chest. Like, there's this parallel between Memphis and Eleanor. It's really, like, there are some subtle, amazing things in this movie like that.
Yeah, it's just because of the time period, it was incredibly inconsistent because there's also some really, really, really rough stuff to watch.
Right.
And, you know, like, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to make it sound like I don't care about some of the fucked up things you see when you go back and revisit older movies. You just need to understand what you're in for. You're going to see it. You're unfortunately...
Like I said, for some people, it's different because we grew up in the time period. We remember, we don't make excuses for it. We don't apologize for it. Bad stuff is bad. But this movie is nothing compared to some of this shit.
Yeah, there's some stuff out there that, like, some stuff is so rough to watch that it can just outright ruin it. But there isn't enough in here to say that this is a bad movie. I don't absolutely like love it. But
you at least enjoyed watching it, right?
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about either, like, the pacing is very good.
This movie feels like it's 10 minutes long to me.
It flies by. I'm always a sucker for assembling the team in the heist movie where you get to be introduced to the characters one by one, because they're always like, especially when you're going the Guy Ritchie route, like they do here, where all the characters are just like fucking weird, especially Sphinx. His scene is awesome where he's at the fucking morgue and
Sphinx, is that you? Push a button if that's you.
Push a button if it's you, yeah. How is he gonna answer the phone if he can't talk?
You tell him. No, you tell him. No, you answer the phone. You tell it. The other morgue attendants are afraid of him.
I would be too, dude. He looks like fucking Lurch from the Addams Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the stakeouts, all the homework that they do, finding all the cars.
Cop stuff. The cop stuff is actually not boring.
Yeah.
Usually when they cut this much time over to like this many times over to the cops, you're just like, oh my god, get back to the fucking heist or get back to like the gang of thieves. You're just like, Jesus Christ. But I like Delroy Lindo. Like I said, probably my favorite character in the movie, and I like Timothy Olyphant's character a lot. Just like their back and forth is pretty funny, and like you said, they're actually doing like legit cop work that makes sense. And that's kind of refreshing.
Legit don't know who to root for. You want to root for Castlebeck as much as you do Memphis. How many movies make you do that when those characters are butting heads like that? Because you obviously want Memphis to succeed, but there's no reason why Castlebeck shouldn't have won by now.
Yeah, and you see like
I love that it's personal for him, and they make that clear when his boss comes in. Is like, he's going down for murder 1. Who gives a shit about Grand Theft Auto? And they go and take him down anyway because it's personal for him at this point. Memphis is back in it. Memphis is his Eleanor.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I was in the pocket for this movie. I felt like bare minimum you would have a good time watching it. Even if you didn't like it, you'd have a good time watching it. I figured there was enough in here you would like it. It just maybe just not your favorite.
You know what it reminds me of is actually Hollywood Homicide. Like my reaction to that, where it's like I like the character interactions, and I think like the third act is super fun.
You and I remember Hollywood Homicide very differently.
You need to go back and listen to that fucking episode.
I don't remember you liking that movie at all.
Really?
I do not remember you liking that movie at all.
Yeah, you need to go back and listen to it.
Oh, we didn't even talk about truck driving school. When he what's that movie? They lifted it directly from another movie. I even watched an episode of Mythbusters today where they tested that same movie where they ripped the rear axle out of the cop car. It's a mafia movie. Famous mafia movie.
I've probably seen it. I just can't remember which movie it was.
But yeah, when he's distracting Johnny B, he's just like, cop car. As long as I'm in here, you're staying out there.
Or my favorite scene of the movie probably is the one where they let Nick Cage just be his incredibly weird Nick Cage self when he
goes buying the Ferrari, quote unquote.
Where he's buying the Ferrari or whatever.
You wouldn't be a self-indulgent wiener, sir.
He is just acting in that weird fucking Nick Cage way with his like just like fucking weird Nick Cage voice, and I'm here for it, dude. It's like
champagne would pour from the heavens, velvet ropes would part.
That was like him embracing the Nick Cage meme like 20 years in advance. That was like the beginning of the meme era.
When I was watching, I was like, there he is. There's our boy.
I feel like that's just Nick Cage. That's the way he actually is. He's acting when he's not like that. That's when you know he's acting.
Oh, it's so good. And then what? All of a sudden the switch just flips. What else do you have in the warehouse? It's so good.
I saw three of these outside the local Starbucks this morning.
There's too many self-indulgent wieners in this town with too much money. Now, if I was driving in 1973...
Yeah, it's so specific.
You would not be a self-indulgent wiener, sir. So good.
That scene minimum makes the movie a 7.5 out of 10. Just having that.
That scene alone gets this to 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. Come on.
Yeah, amen. Oh, but what I'm saying is like it reminds me of Hollywood Homicide, and like the third act is just like nonstop and really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're doing the heist is fun. I think the editing is pretty good when they're actually taking the time to like show them, like boosting some of like the easy jobs. Some of them is like when they start ramping up to like the more difficult stuff.
The ladies are dirty.
We were talking about the snake one is really funny.
Well, she's having the baby right now. Oh man, I gotta get to the hospital. What am I doing? This ain't even my car. I love Donnie in this movie so much.
Yeah, he's great. Any other parts of the movie that you want to touch on before we kind of wrap up for the day?
No, I think that's it. Oh, I didn't talk about the tiger. I think the reason why there's a live snake in the Hummer that says snake is because in the original movie, there's this really racist like park/restaurant thing called the Hungry Tiger. It's really Asian themed and stuff. And one of the guys goes to boost one of the cars there, and for no reason at all, in the backseat of the car, it's literally a tiger. And he has to get out and run away from the tiger, and the tiger chases him out of the car. So a live animal in the car. This movie had a live animal in a car.
Gotcha.
They steal a professional race car driver's Bronco that he races off-road in. And they push a cop car off of a thing with it when they steal it, same as this movie with the Hummer with Sphinx.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so there are some things that they lift that the only good parts, at the exception of the tiger.
It's baffling to me that the story of the brothers wasn't from the original, because that's like the whole fucking point of the movie. You know,
they cherry picked 3 or 4 things about it they liked and made a whole new movie. They kept Eleanor. Eleanor is a different car in the original, but they kept Eleanor. They kept Eleanor being the big chase. Eleanor is like it's still a Mustang, I think, but it's like a 1973 something.
Yeah, I think I read 73 in the Wikipedia page too.
Yeah,
also,
it's not a Shelby, I don't think.
Apparently, if you're doing anything, never call if you're doing anything monetize, apparently do not name your Mustang Eleanor, because I actually found one little tidbit where a guy on a YouTube channel that was like a decently sized YouTube channel, because it was monetized that I read. He did a project where he was like creating like the Eleanor Mustang.
Yeah.
And the wife of the original director who co-produced this movie sued the guy and won.
For Eleanor, the name Eleanor on a
using
Mustang?
Eleanor on a 67 Shelby GT Mustang. She sued him and won.
Are you shitting me?
I am not shitting you. That is something I read. So yeah,
Did she also spill coffee in her lap at McDonald's?
Do not name your Mustang Eleanor, or she will send her lawyers after you. So
wow.
Yeah.
Do you name your cars, Jeff?
I do not, actually. Do you?
I have, actually. I'm surprised you didn't name your Challenger.
I just it's always like felt kind of like bizarre to me to name it. But like, what are some names you've had for your cars?
My 1994 Ford Probe, my first car, was Leslie. My 2002 Dodge Neon that I turbocharged and actually raced out at the drags in Owasso. That was Leanne. And then my TC was Eliza, the supercharged TC that I had. And my Journey that I drive is JoJo.
So were they all girl names because of Gone in 60 Seconds?
No. They're all girl names because I don't think I want to be sitting inside of a guy.
Don't knock it till you try it. You know, you never know. Oh, so you know what's even okay? Here's sidebar. So I was looking through the IMDb photos.
Yeah. Oh god.
For this movie, because that's usually how I just kind of like refresh my brain.
Yeah.
And remember stuff.
It's amazing how effective that is, by the way.
Yeah. Looking through the photos of the events around like the red carpet premieres of the movie and stuff, I completely forgot that Angelina Jolie dated Billy Bob Thornton for several years. Did you remember that being a thing?
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah, that was a thing I completely read about, and it's even weirder now in retrospect. You just like there's like a scene of them making out on the fucking red carpet. It reminded me of the scene in Gone in 60 Seconds where they're making out at the fucking barbecue at the end for like just fucking blatantly in front of everybody. But yeah, Angelina Jolie dating Billy Bob Thornton, even weirder than Angelina Jolie's character in this dating Nick Cage.
Oh,
wild moments in fucking history, dude.
I love what's his face trying to distract the guy at the impound lot. Man, open up a book or something. Find my damn Volvo.
There's no Volvo here, sir.
She's a brick house. What the fuck?
Man.
It's so good, though.
And what's also funny is like that whole character archetype is like a lot of like what Tyrese ends up being in all 45 Fast and the Furious movies.
Pretty much.
Is like that exact same fucking obnoxious character, like just being a loudmouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, if you're gonna give a pass to Fast and the Furious for the same shit in this, maybe don't like fucking crucified Gone in 60 Seconds, consider they're the exact same fucking movie as every Fast and the Furious sequel that's come out the last 20 years.
Yeah. Okay, so looking through the pictures, TJ Cross is Mirror Man, is the dude with the mirror sunglasses, the guy that was distracting. That find my damn Volvo. Him. Yeah. So that confirmed, because he didn't take ownership of his IMDb, so he doesn't have a picture or anything. I wasn't sure who Mirror Man was. All I could think of was Mirror Master.
I like how you've been investigating this like it's the fucking Zapruder film.
Right. Oh,
but
man.
yeah, that is a flaw with it. I couldn't fucking tell you hardly anyone's names because they're just fucking. It's like some of the people in the Ocean's 11 sequels where they like add a few more characters. Just like, wait, who the fuck is this person again? It's like I can't remember anybody's names.
I just stole 50 cars for you in one night. You are not gonna what is it? Yell at me over 12 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I do like how he responds with, "I paid you for 50 cars, not 49 and a half."
49 and a half. Well, a little paint, a little fiberglass, she'll shine right up.
Yeah, the fucking side mirror just dangling from the side.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice. I gotta send you a screenshot. If you want to go ahead and start doing the sign off, I'll get the screenshot to you in Discord.
Sure. Yeah, so if you would like to follow the show more, you can always find us over on Twitter at SPR Filmcasts, where you can follow us for more show updates and just other stuff we post on there. We're also on YouTube as well. If you search Screenplay Rewind, you should be able to find us. I believe, Ron, you've been trying to fix some of the audio issues that we discovered.
I think that's probably just going to stay.
Okay.
Because my OCD is at odds. To fix it, I will have to delete those videos and re-upload, which puts our episodes out of order. And they're so far back in the catalog at this point anyway. I just don't know if it's worth re-uploading like 12 episodes out of order. I don't have the video files. I'll be redoing them from scratch.
Gotcha.
And re-uploading them from scratch.
Plus, so here's an option
they have a decent amount of hits, and that's going to hurt us in the algorithm as well if I delete them.
Okay. So here's the thing: if you're following us on YouTube and you come across an episode that has some of the audio issues, I was cross-referencing them against our uploads just as podcasts on stuff like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so on and so forth, and those all seemed fine. So the audio issue, as far as being only left channel, seemed to just be on YouTube. So you can just find, if there's a certain episode you come across that you're wanting to listen to, and you see, if you find there's an issue, just find us on one of the other platforms, and yeah, you should be able to find a better working copy. Especially since they were just basically podcasts anyway on YouTube, right? I don't think we had any. Yeah, we didn't have.
There's no video, content, not yet. So anyway, we have a YouTube, so one day maybe.
Yeah. So if you find it, we apologize for the issues with it, but you do have other options to get a better working copy if it's something that bugs you. You're like, because I don't think it would bother anyone unless you are listening to it with earbuds. Because I think if you're listening to it like just on your phone through speakers, it would probably sound fine. You know, it's just an earbuds thing.
I think I know what I did. I think I might have accidentally hit export to mono, because when I was putting those up, I was doing 11 or 12 at a time and uploading 11 or 12 at a time, because that was our limit at the time, because we had just made the YouTube. There's like a 30-day waiting period before your unlimited uploads. If you force something like that to export to mono audio is always on the left channel, and you said all the audio is coming through the left channel. The podcast audio is put out in mono, and if you just leave that alone in the video, it will make it stereo automatically. It's still mono, it just comes through both speakers. But if you hit export as mono, it will move everything to the left channel, and I think somehow that checkbox got hit.
So is that just a YouTube thing? Because I always was under the impression that mono was not just left. Mono was both.
No, mono is left. Back in the day, if you remember your RCA jacks, the yellow, white, and red, if you had a mono television, you only had yellow and white. You had no red. The white was your left channel and the red was your right channel. Mono always defaults to the left channel. So it's a video thing.
So it's just a video thing.
It's a video thing. The podcast and the YouTube upload are done separately, and I use the podcast audio to do the video. But there is literally a checkbox that if it gets hit, it will move everything to the left channel.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, because I do mono recordings through Audacity for just my audio right here, and it comes through in both.
Yeah, but that is you're not talking about like this is from back in the days of analog. This is a holdover from analog audio.
Gotcha.
With video, so
yeah, you can find them on other platforms.
Yeah, that's my bad.
All good. What was up with the screenshot that you were?
That's Kano from Mortal Kombat over Christopher Eccleston's left shoulder.
Wasn't he also in Deep Rising?
Yes, he was in Deep Rising as well. I always think of him in Mortal Kombat, but I didn't even fucking notice him.
Yeah, I think I came across him on the IMDb page, and I was just like, I don't remember him being in the movie at all. Was he like? I was thinking he was maybe from like a deleted scene or something, but sure enough, I
don't think he has any lines. I think he just stands there.
Yeah, very weird.
Looking menacing. Here's another screenshot with him. Yeah. He's in it a handful of times.
He had to have at one point had like more lines or something to do, and his scenes got cut because like otherwise, why would you get him to be like just a non-speaking character? Because like he's obviously not like fucking Tom Hanks or anything, but he was a dude,
We need Bobby to look through these pictures on IMDb. Is that the PPK that 007 uses that Eccleston is holding?
I think it is the Walter PPK.
Yeah,
I think it is. I like how we have to bring in Bobby as the gun expert because we know he not only knows what it is, probably owns 12 of them.
He's standing there looking very 007-esque with that PPK. That's what brought it up for me. Well, What are we going to be watching next time, Geoff?
All right. Yeah, so next time I think it's finally time for Ron to learn the glorious the glorious nature of Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
You finally get to watch it because it is how can I be Bear Jew on Steam and you not have actually watched the movie with the
I had no idea what that reference is, and your picture doesn't help. It's literally a Jewish bear like out in the woods.
You will learn about the Bear Jew. And it's amazing. Yeah.
This is a Tarantino movie, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is.
All right, so there's going to be a lot of use of the word fuck.
Yeah.
And
which means
Uma Thurman's going to get a goddamn needle in her chest, right?
No, different one, but close.
Is there a briefcase with a golden light shining out of it?
No.
Damn.
No. I think you're.
Is there a lot of feet?
There's probably some feet.
There's probably some feet.
There's probably a little bit of feet. But yeah, we're like 60-something episodes in. I hadn't picked a Tarantino movie yet, and I've been wanting you to watch Inglourious
We haven't done a
Basterds
Tarantino movie yet?
We have not done a Tarantino movie, which is crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. We have not, unless I'm misremembering one. I don't think we have, though.
I don't think we have.
Yep. So there you go. We got, it's going to be, episode 65?
Dude, Harvey Keitel alone is enough reason to have Pulp Fiction on this show.
I mean, Pulp Fiction being fucking Pulp Fiction is a reason to have it on the show. But the main reason for this is to introduce the other person to movies they hadn't watched, and you need to watch Inglourious Basterds. Because, even if you don't, love it, it's not it is by no means as good as Pulp Fiction, but it's probably my favorite one of his after Pulp Fiction. It's just a lot of fun, and it's got some fucking bonker scenes to it. That's
the one with Brad Pitt hitting a Nazi in the face with a baseball bat, right?
Close. Which
part?
It does have Brad Pitt.
Which part is close?
It does have Brad Pitt in it, and there's a dude hitting Nazi with a baseball bat, but that's the Bear Jew.
Oh, okay.
That's not Brad Pitt. So yeah.
I was like, that was a very complex sentence I uttered, and all you said was close. I was like, which part?
What it would have been is if I just said close and just stopped the conversation.
just ended the podcast.
Yeah, just use your fucking Discord click. That's all she wrote. But yeah, we're watching Inglourious Bastards. It is available. I don't think it's actually streaming on anything as far as part of subscriptions, but you can rent it for $3 or whatever it is on Apple and all and the works.
Excellent.
So yeah, there you go.
I'm looking forward to it. I've never seen it.
Tarantino movie you have not seen. You gotta.
Oh, there's a lot of Tarantino movies I haven't seen.
I mean, he's only done like 12 movies. Like, I'm sure you've seen like a good chunk of them.
I don't know.
Saw Pulp Fiction. Oh yeah. Well, I guess you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs either. I should have Reservoir Dogs.
I haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, and when you and I watched Pulp Fiction, that was my first time seeing it.
Harvey Keitel and Tim Roth and Steve Buscemi are all in Reservoir Dogs.
Oh my god,
makes it fucking awesome.
It's already my favorite movie ever.
Madsen is also in it. Michael
I love
Madsen.
Madsen.
Yeah, you're gonna love Reservoir Dogs. It's just all of this.
When he's good, he's great. When he's bad, he's great. I fucking love Madsen.
All the supporting characters from all the Tarantino movies are basically the main characters in Reservoir Dogs. It's pretty dope. I think you'd really like it.
Nice.
But first, Inglourious Bastards, of course. All right. Yeah, I think we got all the anything else you need to touch on before we sign off here, Ron?
No, I think I've defended Gone in 60 Seconds long enough.
Yeah.
I think I made my point clear. It's a good movie. Get over it.
It's pretty solid. Screenplay Rewind, Gone in 6 hours.
One thing. There is one thing. In the original movie, when they go to steal the race car driver's car, it's at the racetrack. And in the background, there's a giant, like one of those signs that they're tacky now, but they were everywhere at the time. They were cutting edge technology. The scrolling sign made out of red dots, all the words and numbers made out of red dots. It just scrolls from right to left. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
In the background, there's a giant one that says, it's in the parking lot, and it says, "Remember to lock your doors or your car could be gone in 60 seconds.
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
So even the title was a holdover because no one says how fast they're doing these cars. And they're clearly not doing them in 60 seconds. But there is a sign in the original that says to be sure to lock your doors or your car could be gone in 60 seconds.
Yep.
Also,
there you have it.
Deadline Auto Theft I'm watching.
Deadline Auto Theft. It just sounds like a fucking like local insurance salesman doing like a private commercial.
It looks
on, like a local channel.
It looks like a Spy Hunter game for the Atari. Its poster.
Spy Hunter.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, you gotta love the part of the poster that we thought was like an actual dinosaur because it looks like a dinosaur. That's what I thought too initially.
But
it's a fucking gloved. It's a fucking gloved hand holding one of the little like lockpick things they used to start the ignition.
Oh my god!
Deadline. I think we got a live.
You know how much better,
live review.
You know how much better it would make Deadline Auto Theft if there was an actual dinosaur.
Deadline Dino Theft.
Dino-line Auto Theft.
And then they just reused the actual costumes from the dinosaurs kids show, and that's just part of that's the budget they're working.
I want someone to recut Deadline Auto Theft with all of the mainland scenes from the Lost World Jurassic Park.
Jesus.
Deadline Dino Theft.
Oh god. On that note, let's get the fuck out of here. Although we should do a live review of Deadline Auto Theft. If we can even fucking find it. We're gonna have to assemble a crew and fucking hijack someone's like attic to find a copy.
You sound busy. You sound very busy. Let's see. Since we've talked about it enough, I'm just gonna real quick. Deadline Auto Theft.
It's probably not even a fucking result on Just Watch.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't even know if we'd be able to find this, but if we can, that would make for a fun live.
Deadline Auto Theft L.A., which has the poster is Furious Road, but I'm not finding. That's the closest I'm finding. I was thinking it was, if I know Hoopla, it's probably on Hoopla.
Yeah, Deadline Auto Theft. One for the ages, I would say.
One for the ages.
One for the Jurassic Age.
I hope there's a dinosaur. I came for the dinosaurs. Where's my goddamn dinosaur? That's going to be my review that I leave when I watch it. I came for the dinosaurs.
you came for the dinosaurs in the fucking 25-year-old heist movie of flying cars or something. I don't fucking know. I don't know what's going on in this.
I
fucking
can't
poster.
find this fucking movie anywhere, but the description on Rotten Tomatoes for it was literally just gone in 60 seconds. He made the same movie again like 10 years later.
The only copy is inside the box with the Ark at Area 51, dude. It's for your own protection. Oh god. Yeah, let's get out of here before we start going on another tangent.
Before we do a whole other podcast.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good night. I almost disconnected from Discord. It's so awkward.